Talmor, Shishin Magachi. Talmor is my home. My family have worked the land for generations. My gran says the island does not belong to us, but we belong to the island. And we must be ready, for a great evil is coming, and death follows with it.
Listen and subscribe to the latest season of Undertow, The Harrowing, a Storyglass production presented by Realm, available wherever you get your podcasts.
Contained herein are the heresies of Radolf Buntwine, erstwhile monk turned traveling medical investigator. Join me as I study the secrets of the divine plagues and uncover the blasphemous truth that ours is not a loving God, and we are not its favored children. The heresies of Radolf Buntwine, wherever podcasts are available.
But then I tested, and then I got a call from my team that night, and they said, okay, so, testing was today, and I know you're waiting for the news. So you ended up getting the job, but Netflix didn't even test you. They just booked you straight. They said, you know what, just book him. We love him so much. And I was like, oh, really?
Hello, world, and welcome back to another episode of Thanks for Coming In. I'm your host, Jillian Clare. If this is your first time tuning in, this is the show where I speak to fellow actors about their journey, and I make them share a couple bad audition stories with me. If you're not subscribed to the show, make sure to hit that subscribe button now and check out the links in our show notes. There's some, social media things down there, and we just launched a Patreon with some really cool perks, so check that out. Today on the show is Reyn Doi. You may remember him from Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar, where he played Kristen Wiig's evil sidekick. You also may remember him from Drama Club or Side Hustle, but he is now starring in the brand new Netflix series That 90s Show as OZZIE. We talk about the famous coming out scene and if he thinks Etienne will make an appearance in season 2. So here is my conversation with Reyn. And welcome to the show, Reyn!
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. I'm so excited to talk to you. You have been in some seriously amazing stuff lately. Truly awesome stuff, and I can't wait to talk about it. But before we get into any of the new stuff and the awesome stuff that's going on, the first thing I love to ask my guests is, what made you want to be an actor?
For me, it just I never had that go, oh, I want to be an actor. It was more so I was an MC for my preschool's performance, and
Ooh.
Parents would come up to me after the performance and say, you were such a good MC at such a young age, and you talk so well. And then it kind of happened naturally after that. So I started when I was 9.
You started when you were 9. So what was your journey for kids out there who are thinking, man, I want to do what he does? How did you talk your parents into it, one? and what was the first steps for you?
I feel like for me it's a little different. I never had to convince my parents. My parents were pretty supportive. I mean, my mom's here with me, we live together, and then my dad is in Hawaii where I was born.
Oh, wow.
But for me, I just did a workshop in Hawaii, and then I was given the opportunity to come out here to continue the workshop, to find an agent, and then it all kind of unraveled after that.
Amazing. I know it's so weird. I grew up as a child actor as well, and I feel like when you're a kid, it's just you do these classes and you do these things, and it just all of a sudden is there.
Yeah.
So Dad's in Hawaii, and how often do you get to go back to see him?
I would say maybe 2 times a year. I try to go home during the summer.
Mm-hmm.
For example, last year, once we wrapped the show, I went home. And then right before the press started, I went back home once. So usually a couple times.
That's nice. And what was the first role that you booked that was something that you felt was oh my gosh, I'm on a set now. This is so exciting.
Well, the first job I ever booked was the first audition I did. So the first
No
audition I did
way!
was booked. Yeah, I booked it, and they weren't even like looking for the role for me. Like I was just there, and it was for a commercial, a Sonos commercial, the speaker.
Uh-huh.
And I was supposed to be dancing. It was like a Christmas commercial to promote the speakers or whatever. And I was dancing, and I've been dancing since I was like 4, taking classes and stuff. So it was really nice to be able to show that side of me. But yeah, that was in 2017.
That was 2017. Wow. All right, so you're a dancer. Do you dance on TikTok? Did you get into the Musical.ly and the TikTok scene?
No. But it's so funny that every project I've done so far, like they've somehow incorporated my character to be dancing. Like I don't know how many times on this show that I've had to dance.
That's nice though. It's like they're
is.
bringing some part of you into the character, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's really nice.
So you were in Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar. First off, I have to know how old you were when you did that, because you were so flippin' funny, and I just feel like you were this tiny little baby just making everybody laugh.
Thank you. I was I think 9 or 10.
So cute. And how was it working with Kristen? You got to be the evil counterpart to her evil counterpart. How was that?
It was so fun. I mean, when I first did the audition, I really didn't even know it was going to be such a huge movie.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I knew who Kristen Wiig was because I did watch Bridesmaids when I was, like, really young, like 4 years old. But that's all right. But I did watch Bridesmaids, so I kind of knew about her. And then, obviously, I mean, she's so widely recognized. I mean, my parents knew her immediately, and they were, like, really happy. Not only would I be able to fly out to film in another country, we filmed in Mexico, but also to meet her. It was, like, really fun. So my first day of shooting, we were filming on the beach in Cancun, and she came into the makeup room. You know, she finished her scene, and apparently the scene she was filming was a scene where she was coming out of the water as her evil self in the film. And she had mosquito bites all over her face because she was bitten or whatever, and then she was so messy and sandy, and then of course you wouldn't think it's Kristen. I mean, Kristen is like Kristen, and then this lady walks in, it's like, whoa, but it was her.
And how was that for you as a kid, being able to work with, I mean, you worked with some serious powerhouses on that, and I want to know what that experience was like for you.
I feel like they taught me, I mean, it was special because I was the only kid in the movie, so I got to really enjoy my time there, but also they gave me a ton of attention, and they really took the time to talk to me, so I felt like, you know, we're all so professional, and I feel like they respected my work, and they just treated me like one of their own, so I think that really, you know, it changed my whole filming experience.
That's nice to hear. It's good to hear when things are positive on a set, especially for young performers. So Barb and Star happens, and then what's after Barb and Star? Do you start working on Side Hustle after that?
Yes. Well, actually, first I did another Nickelodeon show called Drama Club.
Okay.
It's so weird. I was doing the audition for like 2 different roles back in January of 2020 when it was like, you know, busy pilot season and all that, and like all of my friends were getting the audition for that show, Drama Club. So I didn't end up getting it. COVID happened. I went back home to Hawaii, and then we finally moved here in 2020. And then end of 2020 comes, I get this audition, and I'm like, hey, I recognize that project. I think, didn't I audition for that like at the beginning of the year? And it was true, and then I ended up booking the role. So that was cool. It was like, you didn't get it, but then you got it.
Perseverance, a story in perseverance, for sure. So you started with Drama Club in the Nickelodeon world, and then you moved over to Side Hustle. And how long was that on for? Because I've worked with Jaden, who I adore.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it was such a cute show.
Side Hustle, I came on like mid first season.
Okay.
And then we filmed, that was like February 2021. And then I didn't appear in every episode, but I appeared in at least half of the second season, which was 20 episodes, I think.
That's a lot.
So we filmed and then they had a little hiatus, and then they got picked up for a second season in July of 2021. So we started filming from July, and then all the way to January.
And then when did that 90s show come along?
That 90s show, January, right when I finished Saito, so I switched over.
That's right. We love that. Okay, so tell me everything. How was the audition process for that? What was it like to meet all these incredible people who have been, comedic heroes for a long time?
When I got the audition, I read the description, and my managers called me and they said, "Are you willing or okay to play an openly gay character on the show?" I was like, "Of course. It's a character, of course." And plus, they kind of felt that I would fit for the role. I usually know, like, oh, if this audition fits me or not, but, like, I didn't really feel anything. I was like, oh, whatever, I'll just do it. And then I did it, and then casting wanted to meet with me a week later, so I met with them on Zoom. But it's, like, it was busy at that time because I was filming a Netflix film in Atlanta called The Outlaws at the same time. So we were going back and forth from Atlanta and LA, and it just so happened that my second trip to Atlanta was when the producers wanted to meet me for the callback. So I was like, okay, we're in a hotel, but I'm not going to say no. So I just decided to just do it in the bathroom of the hotel room. So we did it in the bathroom. And you know how, like, they give you, like, ice buckets in case you want to, I don't know, drink wine or something?
Yes.
So I used that to level the computer for my eyeline. And then, like, the producers and I still laugh about it to this day. Like, they wrote me a note at the end of the season when we wrapped the first season of shooting, and they said they gave me this really cute and nice vintage swatch as, like, a wrap gift. And along with it came a note, and it said, "We will always remember you from that Atlanta bathroom."
That's so cute. Was that your first time, like, getting that far along in a process for a lead character in a TV series? I mean, did you have to do a testing process too? Were there chemistry reads involved?
Yeah, so after I did the callback in the hotel, after that, what happened was they wanted me to do one chemistry read with Ashley, who plays Gwen on the show. So I did that, and I believe we were the first two who booked the show, or who booked the roles. Yeah, but anyways, after the chemistry read, I knew I had to test with Netflix, so I knew that it was a Thursday, and I remember the day. It was 11/11, November 11th. I remember the day that I was testing. And so usually I've tested before for another pilot that I had with ABC. It didn't continue, but I have gone through that process. So I was kind of like, I kind of knew what was going to happen, like 50-50. Even if the producers like you, if the network doesn't, all that. But then I tested, and then I got a call from my team that night. And they said, okay, so, testing was today, and I know you're waiting for the news. So you ended up getting the job, but Netflix didn't even test you. They just booked you straight. They said, you know what, just book him. We love him so much. And I was like, oh, really? They didn't even look at my audition. Like, yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing.
I know. I was like, oh, no. And then my team tried to, like, trick me into think that I wasn't going to get the job. Like, the phone kept cutting off because there were so many people on the call. I was coming home from, like, tennis lessons, and then I was driving on Ventura Boulevard, or my mom was driving, and then we got the call, so we were like, okay, let's pull over. So I remember exactly where we pulled over. It was in front of an Italian restaurant. And so we pulled over, and then I don't cry normally when I get a role, but I did cry because I think it was, for me, when the pilot with ABC didn't end up getting picked up, I was heartbroken because I booked it before COVID, and to have to wait over a year to start filming it, it was like a long process, and I had like an emotional attachment to any project that I have, but specifically with this one, having to wait so much.
Yeah.
But usually when something doesn't go, you obviously you get sad, and you don't know what's going to happen. So for this to happen, it was really amazing.
So you book it, and then you get to be in the sequel series of, like, one of the best comedic series of all time. That 70s show, when I was growing up, was, like, the coolest show ever. And you had some of the original castmates return, but you have Deborah Joe and, I always forget his name. He plays Red.
Kurtwood.
Kurt, yes. how was it working with them? I mean, they're legends in comedy.
Yeah, they are iconic. I mean, they have such good chemistry together. Like, I was watching an interview that we did for our press junket. The adults were separate and the kids were separate times and everything, but we did it for BuzzFeed, and I was watching their interview part, and they are just so good. Like, it doesn't matter if they're not intending to be funny. They just are funny.
Yeah.
It's, like, crazy. But, I mean, I feel like they welcome the kids really good, and, you know, it's not every project you work on, you become like family. Mm-hmm. And I feel like having a good work environment really contributes to that family vibes. Mm-hmm. But we did really become like family, and they're just so nice.
That's so lovely. I have to ask, do we know if there's a season 2? Do you think that we're going to meet Etienne?
It's so funny. I was asking the producers because, like, you know, Etienne was kind of brought up into the mix early on in the season. I think it was episode 3. So I was, like, asking them, are we going to meet him? Like, what's going on? Is he real? Is he fake? I mean, he has the Phantom of the Opera sweatshirt, so, I mean, he must be real.
Right, and you have the phone call with him.
Yeah.
I mean, has to be real.
So they did say maybe.
Ooh.
But I don't know what their maybe is.
Yeah, right. Maybe their maybe is, maybe now go do your job. Or maybe maybe it is, yes. Speaking of Etienne, and you mentioned that your character is openly gay, how was that for you? I mean, I feel like the response has been so lovely and so gorgeous, and that scene with Deborah Jo was so sweet. How has this response been for you?
It's been really touching. I mean, you know, I feel like the writers giving my character that sort of boost or that moment I was really grateful. And I found out the night that we finished filming that episode in front of the audience, the writer of that episode came up to me, and we're really close. I'm really close with everyone, but she came up to me and said, you know, thank you for telling my story, because she is part of the LGBTQ community, and she did deal with that in the 90s, and she kind of had that similar step-by-step plan that OZZIE had. So, I mean, hearing that was like, oh, I mean, any time. And so to hear that from her made me really happy.
That's so sweet. I love that so much. You mentioned that you were filming another Netflix movie when you booked that 90s show. Outlaws? Is that it? The new Outlaws?
Yes, the Outlaws.
The Outlaws. And is there anything you can tell us about that? Probably not.
Not really, but I can say that it should be coming out this year.
That's good.
We did film it like over a year ago. I think it was supposed to come out last year, at the end of last year, but so hopefully everyone will be able to see it this year.
So on this show, we like to share audition stories that have gone awry. Are there any stories that you would like to share with the listeners?
Well, I kind of shared my booking process with this, so I'll share the one that I had with Barb and Star, because it's very interesting. Okay. So, got the audition, and at that time, I wasn't living here permanently. I was going back and forth from LA to Hawaii. So, I was in Hawaii for the summer. I was going to summer school, and, you know, you get these self-tapes. So, I was like, okay, let's do it. And at first, they had a couple scenes for me to do that I had with Kristen on tape. And then there was one scene in particular they wanted me to do, which was, like, Yo-Yo riding the bike, singing Guilty by Barbra Streisand, and throwing the newspapers, So I had to do that, and then I was like, okay, so we submitted it, and then they got back to me, and I think I did the callback, or I just met with the director. His name is Josh, so I met with the director, and then that day, our Wi-Fi at our house cut out. So there's no Wi-Fi, we're panicking, what do we do? And the Zoom is in like a couple hours, but then usually, because Hawaii has like, or the island that I live on, Oahu, has like one main service company that provides service to like most of the residents there. So if it shuts off in one area, it takes a while for the crews to come and repair everything. Like, so I was like, oh no. So nearby our house there's a McDonald's. So we went to the McDonald's, and then we did the meeting at the McDonald's. So I kind of had to tell him, like, you know, I'm at a McDonald's right now. So if there's any like noises, it's the workers. And then he was already in Cancun in his hotel room relaxing, and I'm over here stressing out trying to make sure that no one ruins this director meeting.
Oh my god. You're like, if you hear greasy burgers being flipped, it is because I am in McDonald's. That's amazing. Well, clearly it worked out to your advantage, and they probably got a great laugh out of it.
I think so, too. I was like, okay, I'll see you in Cancun in a couple weeks.
Oh! I love that. Well, thank you for sharing that with me. I just have I have one big question that I'd love to ask you, and it's, you're so young and you've already accomplished so much. I want to know, where you kind of see your career progressing as you get older, if there's a certain genre you'd like to fall into that maybe you haven't tried yet, or, whatever it is that you feel like you'd be drawn to as an actor.
Yeah, I feel like I do a lot of comedy.
Mm-hmm.
So I do obviously enjoy comedy, but I also want to do other genres. And I love, working with my TV family. But I also love feature films because I feel like it's just different. The filming process is different, and the way they promote it is different, and the amount of people that watch it will be different. So I am excited to hopefully see what's in store for me this year.
That's so exciting. And do you have any aspirations of going behind the camera too?
I do, yeah. I mean, I kind of want to, even if, like, there's a period of time where I'm not working, I still want to be in the industry. Mm-hmm. So I enjoy writing a lot. Okay. So I do want to become, like, a writer or, like, a producer or even a director, even though it sounds really complicated, because I know, because our director, Gail, is, like, always really busy, and I know she gets stressed out, but she does such a good job that I want to, like, become like her.
Oh, that's so sweet. I mean, I feel like being an actor is probably one of the coolest things because you get to learn on the job and see everybody else do their job. And so you can see the writers in action and the directors in action and the cinematographers and everybody who's around you. So it's a great learning opportunity. Just start taking notes. Have a little notebook.
Yeah, I mean, just being able to work with everyone. So far, I've been able to work with really nice people.
Yeah.
But yeah, even, like, I would just want to stay in this industry, period, as an actor or as something else. But I love acting.
Good. Well, we love your acting, and we love that you get to act and, bring joy to everybody who watches you. It's been really fun to watch you grow and see your career blossom.
Thank you.
How can people follow you on social media to keep up with all of your stuff that's going on?
Yeah, my Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, everything is Reyn Doi, REYNDOI.
Perfect. Thank you so much for coming on, Reyn. I hope that 90s show gets picked up for season 2 because y'all deserve it. And it's so good, and I've loved watching it. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks again to Reyn for coming on the show and talking with me. Make sure to check out that 90s show, only on Netflix. I loved it, and I am praying for season 2. Tune in next week where I will be talking to one of the stars of the new season of You. And until then, thanks for coming in.
Hi, I'm Alexis Ohanian. You may know me as one of the co-founders of Reddit, but more recently, a large part of my identity is being a father to my 2 wonderful daughters. In my podcast, Business Dad, I'm hoping to open up the conversation about balancing careers and family. The one thing I constantly hear successful people say, without fail, is that they wish they'd spent more time with their kids. That's time no one can get back. So I decided to create Business Dad, to engage in the conversation about how we're spending our time now, providing a forum for successful dads to share their joys and challenges of being a working parent. You'll get to hear from a wide range of business dads, from Rainn Wilson and Guy Raz to Todd Carmichael and Shane Battier. And while this podcast will talk about business and will definitely be featuring dads, I think everyone can learn something from these incredible conversations as we unpack the expectations we all have about careers, relationships, and ourselves. Business Dad is available now, so be sure to listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.